Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel Cooks by Carrie. If you're new here, I'm Carrie, and for today's Foodie Friday video, I'm sharing how to make this delicious strawberry cake from the Magnolia Bakery Handbook. This cake is hands down so delicious, you have to try it. For the cake, you are going to need 1 3/4 cups of fresh strawberry puree. Basically, you just take 16 ounces of strawberries, cut them up, take off the stems, put them in a blender, and blend it all up. Then you're also going to need 4 1/3 cups of cake flour, 1 1/4 teaspoons of baking powder, a half a teaspoon baking soda, a half a teaspoon salt, 2/3 cup of sour cream, 1 1/4 cup or 2.5 sticks of unsalted butter at room temperature, 2.5 cups of sugar, 1 tablespoon pure vanilla extract, 6 egg whites. The first step is to mix together the flour, baking powder, baking soda, and salt in a bowl. While you're doing this, or before or after, make sure to preheat your oven to 325 degrees and grease and flour 2 9-inch cake pans and line the bottoms with rounds of parchment paper. Now it is time to combine the sour cream and the strawberry puree. Now, this cake, it has a very light pink color, but the strawberry flavor is intense. This strawberry puree is so delicious in the cake. You really get an immense amount of that strawberry flavor. And the puree was super simple to make. So I just went in with a fork very carefully because you could see that my container was almost full, and then began mixing pretty quickly with this fork while making sure that nothing spills. And then you can see that the bottom gets more lighter in color and the top I had to mix in. So you just want to mix until it's all completely one homogeneous mixture. Now it is time to cream together the butter, sugar, and vanilla. I started with the sugar, then poured in the vanilla, then the butter. Doesn't really matter, but I just didn't want the vanilla to squirt everywhere, and I thought it might be better if I put it in second. But doesn't really matter. This step took me about 5 minutes, the creaming part. It takes from about 3 to 5 minutes. The recipe recommends using a stand mixer with a paddle attachment, and I would have to agree. However, I did use the hand mixer because I feel like it's easier for you guys to see what I'm doing. But feel free to use your stand mixer, and if you don't have a stand mixer, a hand mixer is fine. As you can see, I used one, and it was all okay. You basically just want to cream it all together, so make sure that all the butter and sugar is going to get incorporated, and then even when it looks like it's all creamy, you keep mixing 3 to 5 minutes. Now it is time to add the egg whites to this butter and sugar mixture. I'm adding them a little bit at a time, and if you think they look kind of yellow or a little funky, that's because they're pasteurized, so they come in a carton at most grocery stores. I think almost all of them have. It just comes in a small, almost like a milk carton, but a mini one, and it's pasteurized egg whites. Basically, it means it's safe to if you had to use it for an ice cream or something, it's safe to eat raw. And anyway, I chose to use this because I just didn't want to waste 6 eggs, because then I'd have 6 egg yolks I wouldn't know what to do with. So I just add a little bit at a time and continue mixing. After I mixed all of them in, the mixture was a little funky. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of I don't know how to describe, almost not separated, not really wet, but kind of a little weird. But if that happens to you, it's totally fine. What I mean by that is just it kind of was one whole mixture, but then it kind of wouldn't stick to the sides almost. I don't know. It wasn't a huge deal, and it literally didn't affect the cake. But if something weird happens like that, just keep going. It'll be fine. Now, before I continue with this video, please subscribe, leave a thumbs up, comment down below if you'd like to see next, share this video with a friend, and hit that notification bell so you get notified when I post a new video. I have a goal of 1,000 subscribers, and I'm about a quarter of the way there, so it really means so much if you could please just subscribe and hit that like. Alrighty, let's continue with the video. Now it is time to add the flour and the sour cream mixture, alternating between each. I'm going to start, I almost started with the wet, but you want to start with the dry. I'm going to pour in 1/3 of the flour mixture, mix it up on a low speed with my mixer. Then I'm going to add in half of the wet mixture, mix it up, 1/3 of the dry, the rest of the wet, and then finally finish off with the last third of the dry mixture. This mixture is going to be thick, and there's also going to be a lot of it. I can't remember how big this bowl was, but it filled the very tippy top of the bowl. So be careful, mix on a low speed, and carefully incorporate it all until it's all combined. Make sure to scrape your bowl at the end too, so that everything is incorporated and there's not like a chunk of flour or a chunk of the butter mixture. Now it is time to pour the cake batter into my two 9-inch pans. Now I use a scale for this simply because I want them to be pretty even. This is completely unnecessary though. Just eyeball it, try to make sure they're sort of even, and you'll be good to go. You could also do smaller layers and more of them, or you could do bigger layers and less of them, like probably one 9-inch, or I guess I use 9-inch, like something even bigger than 9-inch. You could just make one layer. You could half this recipe and just make one layer too. Whatever you're feeling, square pan, special pan, circle pan, really super customizable on however you want to make it. Just separate it, and then I would say make sure to tap it down on your counter carefully, and then just smooth it all out with an offset spatula or just a regular spatula or a knife. Just make sure it's all even and flat and ready to go into the oven. Now it's time to go into that 325-degree oven for about 45 to 47 minutes. I believe mine took about, I want to say 50 minutes, but start checking after 45. This cake it's a long wait, I'm not going to lie, but it's because there's a lot of batter in there, but it's totally worth the wait. Alrighty, after about 50 minutes, it was time to take out the cake. One of them looked really funky. That one on the left there, I don't know what happened. It still tasted really good, but looking really weird. But that one on the right, it's looking just right. Haha, that rhymed. But it's actually looking really good. Got that golden brown edges and that nice hint of a strawberry color. They were looking perfect. Well, not that one. That one's not as perfect, but they'll do. At this point, I had let the cakes go into the, you want to put them in the freezer if you can. I didn't have room, so I put them in the fridge. And you want them to stay there for probably over half an hour. If you have the time, I would just leave it out at leave it out at room temperature for overnight. But if you don't have the time or the patience like me, then it is totally fine to just pop them in the fridge. Also, the recipe did say to leave it in the pan for 30 minutes. I didn't do that. I immediately flipped it out, put it on a tray, popped it in the fridge. So, it's really whatever you want to do. If you want to leave it in the pan for 30 minutes and then remove it from the pan and leave it out to cool for like several hours, you could do that. But again, I didn't have the patience for that. Alrighty, what you're looking at right here are the ingredients for the buttercream. For the buttercream, you are going to need 1.5 cups of granulated sugar, a half cup of water, a fourth of a teaspoon cream of tartar, 6 egg whites, a half a teaspoon salt, 4 sticks of unsalted butter, and a flavoring of your choice. Since we are making a strawberry cake, I added a half a cup of strawberry jam. Now, Swiss meringue buttercream is more typically a European style. It is not super common in the US. I've actually made this buttercream before, and to be honest, I didn't like it. But this, I love this one. Not super sweet, super delicious. So let me show you how to make it. In a saucepan, you want to combine the 1 cup of the sugar, water, and cream of tartar. And you want to stir so that all the sugar gets moistened. Now, I accidentally mixed this all up in the saucepan because I forgot we were filming, so I didn't show that part, but it's all the ingredients are in there. I'm just whisking it up nicely. Now it is time to turn this pan on, I believe I put it on medium, and you're going to let this just cook until it is going to come to a boil. And you do not want to stir this mixture. Just kind of watch it. Now, in your stand mixer, it's time to whip up those egg whites. So I started to go in with these pasteurized egg whites, but I'm going to show you what they look like. The pasteurized egg whites would not whip. I do not know why. This was very strange to me. I tried it twice, would not whip. So strange. I really don't know why. They would get frothy, but then they wouldn't be able to reach the peaks. So do not use pasteurized egg whites. Maybe it was the brand, maybe it was something on my end, but as you can see in this bowl, I mean, it looks like it's getting whiter, but it's not like in real life, it's like a soupy consistency. Like it is not working. I try to go ahead and add the sugar. No, do not use pasteurized egg whites. Either you can use fresh eggs and pasteurize them yourself, which means like there's instructions online about how to like boil them. Or what I recommend is meringue powder. We'll come back to the icing in a minute, but I want to show you now the mixture is boiling and you want to go in with a candy or meat thermometer. I'm using a meat thermometer. I mean, it doesn't really matter, same type of thing. And you want it to reach 235 degrees, but it was not there yet, so I just kind of checked it and then I went back to the icing. Here you can see again what it was looking like. Just was not whipping. It was staying at the frothy stage. Now here's the attempt with the meringue powder. So meringue powder is in here and I had added some sugar. This is what you're looking for. Those stiff peaks, and you go in and you add sugar small at a time. Now meringue powder, you can find it online on stores like Amazon or other places, but you might also be able to find it in craft stores like maybe Michael's. That's a chain craft store might have it. Anywhere where there would be baking supplies. I know it's a little more obscure. You can go ahead and use regular egg whites, but this is perfect because it does whip, but it's also like safe to eat. You can see those peaks, they were looking super perfect, and I was like, thank God after try 3. Here again is what you're looking for. This is the type of mixture you want. Okay, so let me explain what's going on in this step. I didn't show this, but the saucepan at this point had reached 235 degrees. So that's when you increase the mixer speed too high. So the egg whites are ready when they reach a soft peak, which is what I had. At this point, when the syrup comes to 245 degrees, you want to remove the syrup from heat and slowly pour it into a thin stream in the egg white mixture. It's a little hard to see here, but make sure that it does not touch the whisk attachment. You just want to get it into the mixture. I think if it touched the whisk attachment, it might like almost turn to cotton candy or something like that. You don't want that to happen. Yeah, so you really just want to combine it with the egg whites, and then you're going to reduce the speed to medium and continue to whip the meringue mixture until it cools to room temperature. I waited until the bowl, because you can feel the bowl will be very hot at the beginning and it will get less hot. So I waited until the bowl was only like a little bit warm. This took a couple minutes, but it's well worth it. You can see I'm like tapping the bowl, just making sure that everything it's still hot, or maybe it's not hot, but you just want to cool it down. Now that the bowl was mostly cooled, it's time to add in the butter. My butter is at room temperature and I'm going to be adding it about a tablespoon at a time. Basically, you want to add one in, and when you can't see it anymore, that's when you add the next chunk in. So I can't see it, so I'm just going to repeat. Repeat this until all the butter, all 4 sticks, have been added. It should be light and fluffy when it's finished. I kind of noticed that mine was kind of soupy looking. Do not worry. After I add in all the butter, you're going to mix it again and it gets all fluffy. So if it looks a little soupy, it's going to be okay. So yeah, just add in the butter a tablespoon at a time. Here's a close-up shot of what it was looking like, so you can see it's kind of soupy. Right now, I'm just scraping on the edges, but that's okay because it's going to whip. So at this point, you're like, no, I just used all my ingredients and look what I have. I'm not going to lie. I was a little nervous, but it's going to be okay. So just take a few deep breaths. And I just was trying to get some of the egg white mixture off of the spatula, but it's almost time to add in the strawberry jam. Now it is time to add in the strawberry jam. So this is half a cup, like I said, pouring it all in and then going to whip it all up. At this point, before you do this, if you're like, I want to make the buttercream today, but I'm not ready to use it, unflavored, you can store it in an airtight container for up to 2 days. And then you just add the flavor in when you're ready for it. But I was going to decorate this cake at this time, so I added it all in and whipped it all up. Here's a closer look at what it looked like. You can see it's whipping up nice like icing, and you'll see those sides. We'll combine them later. But you can see it's getting like that nice soft pink color. However, this nice soft pink color was not enough for me. It's a little out of focus here, sorry guys, but I went ahead and added in a drop or two of some pink food coloring. I really wanted it to have a more vibrant color, but not too vibrant, so I just added a few drops and it got a nicer, lighter pink color. At this point, it was time to assemble, and as you can see, one of my cake layers cracked. But that's okay because we're going to be covering it icing and you really cannot tell at all. So if you do have a cracked layer, I would probably recommend making that the base layer, but that's just my recommendation. At this point, you also want to have a bunch more strawberries. I think I had about 1 to 2 cups cut in half. You're going to add a nice generous layer. I'm also using a turntable. It's just this plastic thing where basically you can keep the spatula steady. And by the way, this is an offset spatula, and turn the cake while spinning. The idea is that you hold the knife still and then, or spatula still, and then you can just turn the cake. I kind of was doing both. But anyway, nice generous layer of icing. Then you want to go ahead and add on all your strawberry pieces. They're pretty big, so you're going to have some gaps when you put in that second layer. So anyway, we'll fix that later though. So nice layer, add the strawberries, add the top layer, and then we'll begin icing the whole cake. It is now time to ice the whole cake. You want to go in with a spatula and add a very generous layer on the top of the cake. Then with the offset spatula, smooth it all out until you have a nice layer of icing on the top. Now you're going to be like, Carrie, this is insane. This is so much icing. I promise you, when you eat this cake, there's not that much icing. There's a thin layer covering the top, and there's a thin layer in the middle. It's honestly not that much. I know it's kind of crazy, but just trust the process. So just smooth it out by turning the turntable, or if you don't have one, that's totally okay. You can just turn whatever plate you have manually, like by you can figure out a way. And then you want to go in on the sides. My first step for the sides was just to fill in the gaps between the strawberries and just have it all be easier to ice and one whole layer. Then once you have all the strawberries covered, you can go in and just glob icing everywhere. It does not have to be neat. Just you want to fill in all the gaps and make sure that there's icing all over the cake. After that point, you can go in, spin the cake, keep your spatula still, and smooth it all out. Now, in the end, you'll see, and you saw in the beginning, I kind of went for a more homemade look. If you have the time, you can do a crumb coat, which basically means you do the rough icing coat, chill it in the fridge or freezer for a little while, and then go in with a second layer of icing and make it all smooth. Now, I did not have the time to do that today, so I just went for the more homemade look. I also kind of like this look. I kind of like the look of not perfect edges, but there's icing covering everywhere. But, I mean, that's just me. So decorate it however you would like. But hopefully this makes sense. So cover it all up and then smooth it all out. The last touch is optional. However, I do find that it makes the cake look a little better. I'm placing 3 big strawberries right in the center. It gives it that nice final touch look and just so perfect. I didn't cut into this in the video, but the layers are perfect. This thing is delicious and I highly, highly recommend it. Alrighty guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you haven't already, please make sure to follow me on Instagram at Cooks by Carrie. I post lots of fun photos of the food I cook and other updates and such. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like, comment down below, share this video with a friend, hit that notification bell so you get notified when I post a new video. I will see you guys next Friday for a new Foodie Friday. And as always, if you have any suggestions for future videos, please leave them in the comments down below. Thanks and bye guys.